This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Whew, man. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a night. Hour number 4 of VSiN PrimeTime. Whew. Wow. Overtime about to get underway in the nation's capital. Capitals and Hurricanes tied at 1. The Vegas Golden Knights have struck first at T-Mobile Arena. They lead 1-0 over the Edmonton Oilers. We are just underway in the Twin Cities. 16-16 is the score. Warriors and T-Wolves live line 5.5 between Golden State and Minnesota. But Will Hill, back to what we saw, man. Just unreal. How about this stat? There's been 4 20-point comeback wins so far this postseason. That is the most in a single postseason in the play-by-play era dating back to 1997. It's the second round, and we've had 4 20-point comebacks. Thunder down 29 against Memphis, which feels like 2 years ago. They came back and won that game without Ja for Memphis. The Pacers were down 20 to Milwaukee in Game 5, and of course outscored the Bucks 7-0 to close out that game to get the win. The Knicks were down 20 last night in the third quarter and came back to beat the Celtics. They were as high as 30-1 on the money line, according to Julian Edlow over at DraftKings. And then tonight, the Pacers down 20 to the Cavaliers, and they come back and outscore the Cavaliers 8-0 in the final 48 seconds. Tyrese Halliburton, after hitting the three, pulls out the Pedro Serrano when he hit the home run in Major League. I don't know if I'm allowed to do the gesture here, but you know what we're talking about as he looked to the bench as they showed marbles, and that's what Tyrese Halliburton had tonight. Missed a free throw, got his own rebound, step back, top of the arc three, ball game, Pacers up 2-0.
It's hard to digest. It's hard to contextualize. It's one of the crazier comebacks I've ever seen. I know it was 7 with 48 seconds left, but again, Indy misses 2 free throws. If you just get a rebound, the game's over. Cleveland's probably going to win the game by 10 plus or whatever. When we're talking garbage time and the coin flip nature of whether it lands, 6, 7, 8, 10, who knows? And think about it this way: if Cleveland just gets the rebound, up 7, 48 seconds left, Indy probably fouls. Cleveland makes a couple free throws. They're up 9. Indy probably shoots one more time, and if they don't make it, they give up. That's how close they were to punting on this game, you feel like, and just calling off and waving the white flag and calling off the dogs. Wow. I guess, with Minnesota and Golden State underway, we have a simple approach here. We wait for somebody to get down, 17, 20 points, and we just bet that team on the money line. What else are we doing? Handicapping anything else? It's just incredible. We do have a series price now up at DraftKings. Do you want to venture a guess at what the new series price is?
I saw it, so I won't venture the guess. I wrote it down here. Are you surprised at this number? I'll let you. No. I'll let you reveal it to the people. With the Pacers up 2-0, do the exercise at home or wherever you're listening. I've seen it already. Will Hill, let us know what that number is. Pacers are the favorites, but how big of a favorite?
Well, let me ask you. You're an honest guy. Well, at least as honest as gingers come. What would you have guessed it to be?
I thought it would be north of $2.
Okay, it is $2. It is minus 200 for the pace.
So that just moved.
Yeah, I saw minus 200.
So we've seen a little bit of buyback, at least on the Cavaliers.
Down to minus 190.
Minus 190, plus 160. You mentioned it regarding the was it the Raptors in their championship year down 2-0, and they ultimately came back and won their series. I mean, the difference is you got all these injuries, right, for Cleveland. When you think about who was out tonight, right? Darius Garland did not play. DeAndre Hunter did not play. Evan Mobley did not play. And now you go to Indiana, should be a good environment. And the Pacers, they need to win one game, right, in order to kind of hold serve. So I'm not counting the Cavaliers out. I mean, look, this was the best team in the NBA record-wise, or was it second best team, right? behind the Thunder.
OKC had 68 wins.
Yeah, sorry. I think I misspoke previously. I said that Cleveland had 68 wins. They had 64. I apologize. They were the best team in the Eastern Conference. But, man, this Pacers team, there's something about this. And I'll say this. I mean, Will, I know Game 3, will be Friday night. So you get a decent amount of time off. It's not big travel, right, to go from Cleveland to Indiana. Right. So you're hoping you get healthy, but, man, Donovan Mitchell gave you everything you could have asked for tonight. 48 points. He's falling hard to the ground. He's cramping up, and now he's got to turn around and try to go back out there. And obviously he will, but he had to do everything tonight, and 48 points wasn't enough as they squander the lead. 119-112 was the score with about 58 seconds to go. And Max Strus hit that big three to go up 117-110, and you thought, all right, that's it.
I said that was it. I said it's over. And
the Pacers, for the second time in 3 games, overcome a huge deficit in the final minute to get the win. How about this? Dating back to Sunday, Dogs have won now 5 straight games in the NBA playoffs.
Amazing. Let me ask you, now this is a tough question, and it's a tough question for me to even have an opinion on, but I'm seeing a lot of it on Twitter because we're doing the game and doing the show. Did you have a problem with any of the calls? I know there's a lot of sentiment on Twitter right now that Cleveland got a rough whistle the final minute. Did you, just watching it from your vantage point, did you have a problem with any of the calls or not calls? So we had the putback dunk on the missed Pascal Siakam free throw. They reviewed that, so I'm going to assume they were right on ultimately what happened there to make it 119-114. The one I'd have to look back at, and I don't know how bad it was the offensive foul against Donovan Mitchell. Did he get him? I forget who he ran into, and I guess kind of threw the elbow into. But that was the one, Will, that I was like, really? I mean, there was a lot of contact. It felt like you had to call something there. By the way, the Carolina Hurricanes have just defeated the Washington Capitals. So the Hurricanes down 1-0, come back to beat the Washington Capitals tonight in overtime. So that is a pretty devastating blow to the Washington Capitals, who had a 1-0 lead for the majority of that game. They give up a goal, and then 3 and change into OT. They get the win. The Hurricanes now up 1-0 in that series. That was a pretty popular play. I think I saw DraftKings was somewhere in the ballpark of only like 35% or so of the bets were on the Canes, and they win this one in overtime. So, look, man, we do this show, VSiN PrimeTime. We like to hit, in-game plays. The Canes and the Pacers both were really juicy plays that you could have gotten out there, and the Canes are able to win it in overtime as Logan Thompson is beaten 5-hole there in the early parts of overtime. So the Hurricanes went off as a -190 series favorite, Will, and they get Game 1 in the nation's capital 2-1 as 3:06 into OT. They get the game-winning goal. Yeah, not much to add there other than I need to recollect myself after that wild inning. Do you have any idea what the highest live money line was on the Pacers? I'm sure we'll see the tweets, and we can DM or text Julian, who does a great job at DraftKings, tweeting out that stuff, or some of the other books. I'd imagine you're down 7 with a minute to go. For people that left up a money line, or you're down 17 in the second half, I'd imagine it was 30-1, 40-1, something like that. Does that sound about right to you? Yeah, I would think so. I'm looking at right now, someone just threw out a graphic of the last 24 hours of the NBA and the win probabilities. I think the Celtics were in the 90-some-odd% range. The Thunder were also 98, somewhere in that ballpark. And then Cleveland was near 100%. I mean, the last 3 games in the NBA have been just ridiculous, absolutely insane. And now on the ice, you see it as looks like the Vegas Golden Knights have scored again. Mark Stone, the captain, has made it 2-0. So first period over there with VGK and Edmonton as the Golden Knights score a pair of goals in the opening period to make it 2-0 against the Edmonton Oilers. Once again,
to reiterate what we saw tonight, man. Tyrese Halliburton, you have every right, my friend, to do the Pedro Serrano, because you showed that you've got marbles. They were chanting overrated there in Cleveland, and Donovan Mitchell was trying to calm down the crowd, and maybe he didn't do it enough, because Tyrese Halliburton just, man, that's rough. That is a rough way to lose.
One more thing about that. We saw it last night with the Thunder, and we saw it tonight with the Cavs, and it's not why they lost the game. There's a million other reasons. If you're making a list, there's a long list before you get to this. But with 1.1 left, Halliburton did not hit a buzzer beater. He hit with 1.1, 1.2 left. Cavs didn't have a timeout, just like OKC didn't have a timeout. If you're these coaches, you almost have to keep a timeout in your back pocket just in case, because a scenario like that, 1.1, you give up a shot for the lead, you're dead if you don't have a timeout. If you got a timeout, you inbound it from half court, you got a reasonable look there to win the game. Not saving a timeout, that's poor coaching, poor planning. I know they probably, used them along the way for whatever reason, but 2 nights in a row we saw that.
Hey, folks, this summer, go all in at Circa Las Vegas with the ultimate getaway package, just $400. You'll get a 2-night stay at Circa, $100 dining credit, $100 beverage credit, and your very own daybed at Stadium Swim, where the party never stops. It's only $400. Resort fees and taxes included. This limited time offer is valid for stays between May 26th and September 4th. Don't miss out. Lock in your all-in summer package now at circalasvegas.com. Our resident Pacer fan, Wes Reynolds, he joins the show next right here on VSiN Primetime.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We keep it rolling here. It is VSiN Primetime. This night has been wild, man. This has been a wild night. I mean, the Carolina Hurricanes coming back from a 1-0 deficit, 1-goal deficit in the third period, that's nothing, right? Jacob Slavin, your game winner for the Carolina Hurricanes about 3 minutes into overtime, as once again the Carolina Hurricanes get the win. But the story of the night, Will Hill, is what we saw unfold in Cleveland. Down 20 at one point in this game, down by 7 in the final minute, and the Indiana Pacers, for the second time in 3 games, come back from an improbable spot and get the win. Final score 120-119. Tyrese Halliburton gets the game-winning bucket. The pride of Indianapolis, Indiana right now, Will Hill, joins us courtesy of our progressive guest line. Man, Wes, we're having a hard time putting what we saw into words, and we're not Pacer fans. So take us through your mindset and break it down for us. How did this happen? How did the Pacers pull this thing off?
I'm still trying to figure that out, Tim and Will, but they did. So, it's the score finally counts. So, that's where we are, 2-0 in the series. But I thought that the Pacers, it looked like, okay, they may punt on this, and they may say, hey, we got our split. And they kind of came out that way when they got down 32-15 after the first quarter. It was kind of like, yeah, we got our split. We're okay. But, I'm kind of saying, come on, guys. You might have these guys on the ropes without Garland again, without Mobley tonight, without DeAndre Hunter. It's like, you got to take advantage of this. And finally they were able to, as Tyrese hit the big 3. But so many things had to go right for Indiana tonight. Donovan Mitchell ends up with 48 and doesn't win. So that's a big gut punch for Cleveland. And I'm getting some reaction from some Cleveland people like, nobody cares about Indiana. Well, it's like, you guys better care, because you're down 2-0 going on the road to Gainbridge Fieldhouse here on Thursday night. But, the Pacers, they've been a team all year. And different guys get it done. Like Nembhard tonight has a double-double, but he also has 9 turnovers. So they find ways, and this team is deep, and Rick Carlisle has done a hell of a job. Didn't deserve Coach of the Year, maybe deserve more consideration, but Rick Carlisle's really kept these guys together, and now it's all in the Pacers' hands, and they've got to show that killer instinct, though. Don't let them hang around here.
Wes, I'm going to ask you a question that's impossible to answer, but I'll ask it anyway. what happens going forward from here? Because all the Cavs injuries are making it obviously very difficult to forecast. That being said, is a Pacers sweep on the table here, up 2-0 going home against this beat-up Cavs team?
It's on the table. I don't think it's going to happen because I've seen this movie before with the Indiana Pacers over many years. So, Cleveland at least is going to get one in Indianapolis. Maybe they get two. But I think with Cleveland, the guy that they missed and the guy that I thought before he was ruled out tonight that they were really going to take advantage of tonight is Evan Mobley. Like, I would think that this would be a big Evan Mobley series because when Miles Turner goes to the bench, he's really the only rim protector that the Pacers have. You've got Siakam, you've got Obi Toppin, who are both too small, and you have Thomas Bryant, who's too slow. So Evan Mobley is the guy I think that they really need back. Everybody points to Garland, of course, because of what he can do as a playmaker, but it's really Mobley that's their biggest mismatch. But we'll see if they have him with that ankle going to Game 3. But Pacers, they kept it together, and they showed a lot of resolve down the stretch there. And they did it against Milwaukee, too, in the closeout game. We're down the whole game. And, when you can pull games out like that you have no business winning, sometimes you have to steal one or two over the course of a playoff run, and the Pacers have certainly done that so far.
We're talking to our friend Wes Reynolds, courtesy of our Progressive guest line. Didn't know we'd be talking Pacers comeback. By the way, if you want to bet comebacks, the Golden State Warriors are up 10 right now. So I guess the way it goes, well, the tricky part is they're the dogs. So I don't know what we do here because you just bet teams to come back, but the dogs have been barking. But I did want to have you come on because you've got your column up right now on VSiN.com as we've got the Truist Championship this week at a unique spot. This is at the Philadelphia Cricket Club. So how do you go about, Wes, handicapping a tournament where it's at a club that when was the last time we saw an event played here?
Never, actually. This is the first time the PGA Tour has gone into the city of Philadelphia. It is the Philly Cricket Club, as you mentioned, with the Hickon course, par 70, 71, 19. It was designed by a guy by the name of A.W. Tillinghast, who is a Philadelphia Cricket Club member. And if you know that name, he's designed several recent U.S. Open courses, Wingfoot, Bethpage Black, Baltusrol down there in New Jersey. Now, Wingfoot and Bethpage are a lot longer. Those are beast courses, 7,600 plus yards where it's bomb and gouge. This is a little bit more forgiving from a length standpoint, only 71-19, but the most bunkers on the PGA Tour this year with 118. So I look, when you don't have a lot of data, Tim, I end up kind of starting with iron play, with strokes gained approach. I think that you have to look at that. I think you have to look at around the green play because these green complexes have a lot of different contours to them. So it's very similar to Augusta where it's like you don't want to get on the wrong side of the green or you're looking at bogey or double bogey in the face.
Wes, PGA Championship a week from now, Quail Hollow. I know it's a little ways away here, but anybody you're eyeing here about a week or so before that tournament?
Well, everybody's going to be eyeing Rory because he's won 4 times at Quail Hollow for the Wells Fargo Championship, which that's what this event is this week now, the Truist Championship in Philadelphia. But, looking a little bit down the board, I think Justin Thomas has certainly played very well. He got back in the winner's circle for the first time in 3 years at the RBC Heritage. That would be one I'm looking at. I'm going to look at Bryson DeChambeau as well, who just won the LIV event over in South Korea last weekend. This is a long course. He could probably bomb and gouge it a little bit. They're going to grow the rough out a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be a problem for a big hitter. So, looking forward to next week, and then we'll see how Xander Schauffele does in defending his Wanamaker Trophy. He's actually on my card this week in Philadelphia at 16-1.
All right, let's get to your card for this week. As we look at it right now, your column is up over at VSiN.com. So no Scotty Scheffler here, but we do have the return of Rory McIlroy, and he's kind of the short shot here. So you mentioned Xander Schauffele. Who else is on the card right now for you this week in Philadelphia?
Well, Xander's best friend and regular rider and President's Cup partner, Patrick Cantlay, at a little north of 20-1. Now, he has not won in a couple years, but this is a guy that plays really well in the Northeast. Has won in Maryland, won in Delaware, won at Muirfield Village at Jack's tournament, the Memorial twice. third at Best Page Black, the Tillinghast design in 2019 at the PGA Championship. 5 of the 7 wins are also on bent grass greens, and that's where really Cantlay has really struggled lately, is with the putter. He's been very good, I think, tee to green and especially off the tee. So Patrick Cantlay on the card. And then another guy who's got some Northeast roots, that's Keegan Bradley at 50-1, our Ryder Cup captain for Team USA. Pretty solid start to the year, 2 top 6 finishes and 6 top 20s overall. Comes home to the Northeast. He's won in Pennsylvania. He's won in Connecticut. So I think he'll like this event. And then I'm going to go up the guy with some scar tissue as well. Hopefully he's gotten over it. Maybe you never get over that, what happened to him at the Masters. But Justin Rose at 75-1. He still has proven that he can compete. He's going to turn 45 in July. He's trying to make that Team Europe Ryder Cup team, I think, one last time. Prolific winner in the Northeast throughout his career, won the U.S. Open at Marion, won at Aronimink in Pennsylvania, won at Congressional, won at Memorial. 7 of his 11 PGA Tour victories also on the bent grass green. So not a big card this week, only 72 players in the field. I'll have some placements and some matchups up, though, tomorrow at VSiN.com.
Wes, last minute or so, will you be attending the Pacers parade?
I will be. I will be if we get one. Gosh, I hope we get one. But, I don't want to put the cart before the horse because we've dealt with that before. But I don't know. When is a favorite going to win in the second round? I'm kind of liking this. These road teams winning these NBA games.
Yeah, no, it's been wild. Me and Will are joking because the three of us are all typically dog bettors, and I feel like I've missed the boat here throughout these past couple of games. Hey, Wes, before I let you run, tell your football coach up there in Bloomington to stop worrying about other teams and their NIL and start worrying about punting inside 50-yard lines. Okay.
Yeah, that didn't go well. That was a very tough moment to witness in person there. But Fernando Mendoza, man. First-round pick, we're riding him this year. We're going all the way to the Rose Bowl.
There it is. Wes, always appreciate it, brother. Best of luck this week with the golf bets.
You bet, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, dogs Wes. Are just I don't know what to do, Will. As much as I'm enjoying it, I'm still I'm squirming in my seat. Just God, these dogs just keep barking. Draymond Green has 4 3-pointers already tonight. The Golden State Warriors lead 36-22. So if you're looking to get the Minnesota comeback, even money right now are the T-Wolves. Edmonton Oilers, they've cut their deficit down to 1. It's 2-1. Golden Knights with that 1-goal lead. Still having a hard time taking a recap of what happened in Cleveland. We'll do our best and get you an updated series price as the Cavaliers are down 0-2.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
What a night it has been. Whew, man, oh man. We failed to even mention that the New York Yankees, I believe, had a 10-run inning tonight.
Yeah.
And were able to pull away from the San Diego Padres. So that is the least interesting note of the night. Also, the Marlins beat the Dodgers in extra innings. How about that?
Yeah.
But
there you go.
This is some crazy stuff that we saw tonight. That's Will Hill. I'm Tim Murray. Right now, the Golden State Warriors, by the way, are up 12 on the Minnesota Timberwolves. But you said it before we came back. You're like, I'm having a hard time getting into this game. And I don't disagree because we're trying to wrap our heads around the finish we had in Cleveland where the Cavaliers had a 20-point lead. And we have yet to hear or see what the peak number was from a live line standpoint. But, man, we'll find out soon enough, Will. And it had to have been pretty juicy. I know it was north of $4 in the final 2-3 minutes. And, you and I were talking about it and saying, it just feels like Cleveland's holding on for dear life here. I didn't think they'd lose, but I certainly thought the cover would be in question. Lo and behold, Ty Halliburton, offensive rebound, gets the game-winning bucket with a, 1 second to go. 120-119 the score and final. And the question now begs, come Friday night, The Cavaliers are now a 1-point favorite at DraftKings at Indiana. And obviously it's the desperation angle. Do they get a little bit healthier? Do we see Garland? Do we see Mobley? Could you get in on Cleveland here heading into Indiana for game number 3?
No, I cannot. I understand where you're coming from, but it's now a tall task. You're talking about you got to win 4 out of 5, and you're going to have to win 3 of them in Indy. I know this has been a postseason where home court has not meant as much in the past. I mean, look at the Knicks-Pistons series where road teams won the last 5 games of that series. The road team won the first 2 in this series. That being said, no, I think that might have been a backbreaker. And if you never want to see a team go down because of injuries, and Mitchell's limping around despite the heroic performance. It's a lot of guys are out, and the fact that they collapsed, now they've got a couple days to lick their wounds both physically and emotionally, but I feel like this carries over. I mean, this is a Pacer team that's a crowd fan base that has not had a ton of success, the last 20, 30 years here or there. They've made some second rounds of conference finals here or there, but they're going to be chomping at the bit. I think all of these teams now in the East can smell it. If you're the Knicks, you're thinking, man, if we're up 1-0, now we have home court. If we can ever get to the conference finals, we might have home court. We might be going to the finals. The Pacers probably certainly think they can go to the finals. The Celtics obviously think they go to the finals. The Cavs think, hey, if we get off the mat, we're still the 1 seed. So it is now a completely wide open. It's almost like an NCAA tournament bracket. Sometimes you get these where it's a 12 versus a 13 in the in the second round, or a 10 versus a 4 in the Elite Eight. This is one of these brackets that could be completely wide open now with all these upsets. And again, just to go back to that ending, if there were a basketball movie where a team was down 7 with 40 seconds left or 48 seconds left and won in the way that the Pacers just won, we don't watch it and say, okay, we know sports movies, you can exaggerate, Varsity Blues, they throw a flea flicker to the fat offensive line, he scores a touchdown, Billy Bob. You got to make it a little more realistic. Nobody's going to have a comedy of errors in the NBA like the Cavs did to end that game, but truth sometimes, I guess, is stranger than fiction. Just completely bizarre. What an absolute meltdown by the Cavs, and give the Pacers credit. They did what they needed to do and made shots.
Just a complete and utter devastating loss for the Cleveland Cavaliers, because, it's stating the obvious, but they needed it tonight, and they're unable to close it out. They have a 20-point lead. Things are going their way. I mean, I know a couple of the role players weren't playing great. Ty Jerome was all over the place, and he unfortunately was the one guarding Halliburton there at the end of the game. But you get a 48-point performance at home from Donovan Mitchell. I don't care if Mobley's out. I don't care if Hunter's out. I don't care if Garland's out. You got 48 from your superstar, and you lost. And unable to grab a rebound on multiple free throws. So, think about it. Like, look, I know Nesmith comes in out of nowhere and gets the putback dunk. You said it on the air, Will. You got to box him out, man. And then, and I know that it's kind of rattling around, and it was a freak play a little bit, but not 1, but 2 missed second free throws led to points for the for the Indiana Pacers in the final minute. Like that's inexcusable. That can't happen.
Throw in a turnover on an inbounds. Throw in a turnover by Mitchell. We said when Strus hit the 3 to go up by. Yeah, when we said when Strus hit the 3 to go up by 7, it now takes like a 4 or 5 leg parlay of everything going right for the Pacers to have a shot. Well, they hit it. I mean, that's just a remarkable, unbelievable comeback. Maybe the Pacers, if you believe in the idea of a team of destiny, the comeback against the Bucks, this kind of comeback, the Cavs, the injuries, maybe things there break their way. In 2-3 weeks from now, we're talking about the Pacers in the NBA Finals. I'm still not there yet, but maybe this is a team that that just is a team of destiny. I don't know what else to say. I'm just unbelievable all-time comeback.
We've got some breaking news from the Warriors-Timberwolves game. Steph Curry has a hamstring injury, and he is out for the rest of this game. So,
oh, boy.
Injuries piling up. We've talked about Cleveland and all the injuries they've dealt with, and now Steph Curry out for tonight's game with a left hamstring strain. So the Golden State Warriors are currently up 38-28. But with the news that Steph Curry is out, the Timberwolves are now a minus 154 favorite at DraftKings right now. And you wonder how long they're going to hold on here. I'm looking at my app at a different book. That's now gone to minus 155. DraftKings has now gone to minus 175. So Steph Curry is out of the game. Jeez. He's got a left hamstring strain. And look, I don't want to assume anything.
Oh, yeah.
But Will, if you're going to rule out Steph Curry this quick, man, right, you got to think that this is going to be something that could potentially linger. Hopefully not the case. One of the greatest players of all time and has really been having an awesome series. But, man, we'll see if the Warriors can weather the storm without him. But right now, live line sits at minus $140. Anthony Edwards has gotten off to a really slow start here in this game. So, I mean, these NBA playoffs have just been wild, and now to have a superstar like Steph Curry be done for the game, man, you were also, Steph had 3 threes already.
That's a bummer.
Draymond's hit 4 threes. Anthony Edwards is 0 for 8 from the field in this game. It is 38-28 with 2 minutes to go in the second quarter, Will. The total's down to 180.5.
Yeah, 28 points with a minute or so left in the half. I'm looking. DraftKings has Minnesota plus 425 to win the West. I don't think FanDuel has anything up. If Curry, I mean, if it's a hamstring like you're getting at here, if it's a hamstring, it's not just, hey, he's better in a day or two. You wouldn't think, again, we're speculating. Hopefully it's not severe. I mean, Minnesota's going to walk to a series victory here. I mean, Minnesota's not losing the series if Curry can't come back, even if it's until game 3, game 4. That's a major advantage for Minnesota. So would you grab Minnesota plus 425 to win the West?
Man.
And then you get them in the conference finals, and who knows? Maybe it's Denver, and then
yeah. If you get I mean, I think at that price, it's certainly interesting. Just worth noting here, I think we hit Minnesota here in the second half. Minnesota is 0 for 15 from 3. And Draymond Green is 4 for 5 from 3. I think there's going to be a little bit of regression here. So Steph Curry out tonight for the remainder of the game. Left hamstring strain is the report right now. It is a 42-28 lead for the Golden State Warriors. And once again, how indicative is it as Naz Reid now walks to the locker room? Now, I don't know if that's just a situation with a minute 17 to go, but
right,
it's a 14-point Golden State lead, and the Warriors are only a 1.5-point favorite. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, I'm seeing. Are they underdogs here? They're underdogs at FanDuel. Yeah, the 1.5-point underdogs at FanDuel, up 14.
Wow. You can get plus money if you want to jump in on the Minnesota Timberwolves right now. But Steph Curry out the remainder of the game here for the Golden State Warriors. Tonight's been crazy, man. Hurricanes come back. They win 2-1 in overtime to take game 1 of that series over the Washington Capitals. 1 period in the books, 2-1 the score. The Vegas Golden Knights have a 2-1 lead over the Edmonton Oilers. All right. Just a reminder, folks, you can check out our exclusive betting splits from both Circa and DraftKings over at VSiN.com. If you're a VSiN Pro subscriber, VSIN.com/subscribe. You can check out what we have to offer for as little as $9.99. Anthony Edwards, is he going to wake up in the second half? He just missed a free throw. He is 0 for 8 from the field. It is a 11-point lead. No Steph Curry the remainder of the game. Warriors trying to hold on and beat the Minnesota Timberwolves.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Woo! What a night. What a night. That's Will Hill. I'm Tim Murray. It is VSiN PrimeTime. You know, that's the beauty of sports. You never know what you're going to get, man. And you get all these injuries pop up for the Cleveland Cavaliers before the start of the game. The officialness comes out that Darius Garland will be out again, that DeAndre Hunter will be out, that Evan Mobley will be out. You see a line move from open at 10.5, closes 5.5, and then the Cavaliers come out and they play their butts off, Will, and they're up by 20. and they're up by double digits going into the fourth quarter. But you just felt the tightness setting in there, and ultimately, as you said, you've said a couple times, it's like a movie. You wouldn't believe it. Under a minute to go, multiple offensive rebounds on missed free throws, and Tyrese Halliburton, after burying a three, does the Pedro Serrano and says, "Yep, overrate this." 120-119 win for the Indiana Pacers, and they are now 2-0 going back to Indiana. And then we get the news, Will, that Steph Curry out for the remainder of tonight's game. The Warriors lead at halftime 44-31, but Steph Curry, dealing with a hamstring injury, is out the remainder of the game.
So live total here, second half total at FanDuel is 106.5. That's the best number I'm seeing. I like the under. No Curry. How is Golden State going to score? They're going to put defensive lineups out and just try to grind this game out. To me, with Curry, it's going to be hard for these teams to combine for 107, 108 points here. So live total under 181.5, second total under 106.5. Same thing, just different way of putting it. I like the second half under here.
All right, that'll be your best bet. My best bet, and our best bet's always brought to you by G-Bank. I'll go the T-Wolves come back to win this thing. You can get even money. That's what I played on the money line here. So no Steph Curry, a team that went 0 for 15 from 3. I think you see resurgence here from Minnesota. Maybe it's a sucker's bet, but I will go with Minnesota to come back. So second half under for Will. I'll take the T-Wolves on the money line and even money. Our best bets, as always, brought to you by our friends over at G-Bank. Get the G-Bank Visa Signature Card today. Most credit cards treat sportsbook and gaming transaction as cash advances. That's even when you put your own money on the card. G-Bank treats gaming transactions as purchases, so you're saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees on gaming transactions right there. Also with G-Bank, you're earning 1% cashback rewards on all eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions and 2% cashback rewards on all eligible purchases. Apply now. VSIN.com/GBank. VSIN.com/GBank. So 44-31 is the halftime score. Steph Curry out the remainder of the game. How about the first half from Anthony Edwards? 0 for 8 from the field, Will. 1 point is what he is looking at through the first half. His live number, I don't see it right. I have it right here. Anthony Edwards, over-under is 17.5 after a 1-point first half.
For a supposedly great player, he kind of has a lot of these, doesn't he? He's a little overrated in my mind. He's a good player. Obviously, you see the talent, you see the athleticism. He's got a few too many of these stinkers. He's a little overrated in my mind. Yeah,
we tried to anoint him last year. I'll say this. I mean, look, he had some great moments in this postseason. There's no doubt, but right now, it has been an ugly performance. His game, what was that, game 4 against the Lakers is when he went for 40 in that comeback against the Lakers. But, I mean, that's another one of them, man. That's another great comeback here in this postseason. Sure. This postseason, I know I continue to sound like a broken record, but it's been wild, man. And tonight, I don't know if tonight was the most wild. We showed you the graphic or the tweet. This is a fourth 20-point comeback we've had, matching a record from 1997. And, folks, we're just in the second round. So 4 20-point comebacks. We had the Thunder down 29 when there was no Ja. They came all the way back to beat the Grizzlies. The Pacers were down 20 in Game 5 against Milwaukee. And as mentioned, 7 with 40 seconds to go. The Knicks last night were down 20 to Boston, came back and won. And the Pacers tonight were down 20 against Cleveland. Oh, by the way, Will, that doesn't even include the comeback we saw from the Denver Nuggets last night as they came back to win that game where they were, 16-1 on the money line. I mean, we have just seen wild comebacks here throughout this postseason. So I don't know if it's indicative of what is still to come, but, man, this postseason has been as unpredictable as I can remember, especially in the NBA when you think, it wasn't that long ago, right, Will, where we just knew it would be Cleveland and Golden State in the finals every single year. Start of the season, right. And now, I mean, right now you can make the case, especially with where we are, where you've got Indiana up 2-0, Oklahoma City down 1-0, Boston down 1-0. Steph Curry just left the game with a hamstring injury, but they're still up 13 on Minnesota. I mean, you can make a case for, I would say, I mean, what team right now would you write off? I guess Golden State, if this Curry thing is real, you got to write them off. But, like, if Cleveland came back to win the series against Indiana, would you be, stunned?
No. Golden State would be the one right now with Curry hamstring that it would seem like a stretch. And just 10, 15 minutes ago, I would have included them in the teams that, hey, who knows, matchups, things break their way. They're obviously an underdog. But a couple minutes ago, we said can't get anybody out. But back to your point, like, I know there's recency bias involved here. And not that I have, the greatest 24-hour stretches in NBA history, like at the tip of my fingers, but it's hard to imagine when you have a 24-hour stretch with the Knicks rally, the Nuggets rally, and now the Pacers rally, a wilder, more exciting 24-hour stretch than we've just seen.
All right. Well, we got tomorrow. It'll be Scott Seidenberg here on VSiN Primetime for you folks, but tomorrow, Will Hill will get the return of the Boston Celtics, the return of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Both right now, we'll call them consensus 11-point favorites. Boston, you can get 10.5. We've seen the market go up on Boston. Last night, when that number came out at 8.5, you quickly jumped on the Boston Celtics. I like Boston a lot here in this spot, so buyer beware. Look, I think you can get a little creative. I know the Kristaps Porzingis thing is concerning, but I think Boston bounces back from a shooting standpoint, 15 of 60 in the first game from three. I think if I had to play it, I would look some alts here. I think Boston could put it on the New York Knicks. So I haven't decided yet if I want to go back in on a series price. I might ultimately do that, but I think alt Boston, I think minus 14.5 was plus 150. That could be a way that I could look, and I think you even mentioned maybe even looking to ladder it potentially if you want to go that route.
Yeah, I laid the 8.5 on the open when we just popped the line up right after that game ended. So at 10.5, I mean, you're starting to pay a tax here for the situation. So it's a 2-point move. These moves, if you're laying an extra 2 points on every game, that's not a good habit to get into over time.
Yep.
Let me ask it this way: if I told you that one of these favorites loses tomorrow, which one is more likely in your mind?
I think it's got to be Oklahoma City.
Yeah, that would be shocking. But you know what? With the way those last 24 hours have been, can't rule anything out at this point.
I mean, because I look at last night and the way that, to me, and I think I forget who it was I was listening to earlier today, said that they felt like Boston was a little bit more vulnerable, mainly because of the Porzingis situation and Jaylen Brown not playing all that well. I think when I look at the box score and look back and watched, a good chunk of that game back last night, OKC and Denver, it wasn't like Denver played out of their minds. Like, Nikola Jokic had 44, 22, and 6, but, like, the dude does that on a regular basis. I mean, it's not, I looked at the shooting numbers. Like, the Knicks shot almost 50% from three. The Celtics shot 25% from three. I think if one of them wins, I think both will win. I think both favorites will take care of business. But if one of them were to lose, I think it would be OKC.
It's interesting. It's usually the NCAA tournament is all these upsets and wild comebacks, and the NBA playoffs is chalk. It's flipped this year, where we've got a very chalky NCAA tournament, and then the NBA playoffs is all upsets and wild comebacks.
Tyrese Halliburton, the only NBA player in the last 20 years to rebound his own free throw miss and then hit a game-winner three-pointer all in the last 15 seconds of a game, both regular season and in the playoffs. Pacers win 120-119. Whew, what a night it has been. You still got a second half of Warriors and Timberwolves, and that'll be covered for you coming up top of the hour with Cashing Out. We're going to go take a a cigarette break. I don't know, Will. Man, that was a crazy night. That's Will Hill. You can follow him on Twitter at @NotTheWillHill. I'm Tim Murray. Cash it out coming up next. This has been VSiN Primetime.